Everyone doing good? Everyone doing good, boys? How are you all doing? Obviously. What the fuck? What is going on? Ah, she fucking YouTube again, man. YouTube always giving me trouble. YouTube always giving me trouble, boys. We back into the YouTubes. YouTube permanently giving me trouble on the live stream front. Are we live? If someone's watching on YouTube, let me know that everything's okay. I am getting lots of error messages from YouTube as usual. How are we doing? Oh no, it looks like we're good on the YouTubes. Alright, how's everyone doing? Nice one, Harvey. Nice. What is up, Matern? Hope you're all doing good. Let's check on the Twitch. Twitch is working as well. Alright, we got the trifecta. Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you're doing good. In this live stream, we're going to be researching the fight between Brian Ortega and obviously Alexander Volkanovski, co-main event of UFC 260. So we're going to be taking a very, very deep dive on this fight, and we'll hopefully be able to dig up a bet and hopefully find a way to make some cash on this one. I do think the odds are a little bit surprising. In actual fact, the odds on Ortega have got better over the last couple of days. Last time I checked a couple of days ago, they were like about 2.45 on Ortega, which is plus 145. They've now improved, which is interesting to me because I do think he could be a really bad stylistic matchup for Volkanovski. But that's me basically guessing, working from hazy memories. And so when we actually get into the footage, I'm sure that it will show us what is true. So let's get into it then. Hope you're all doing good. Get comfortable. We're going to go real deep on this one, and hopefully we'll be able to dig up a bet. So Alexander Volkanovski, currently a very, very big favourite at odds of around, call it an average of say 1.54, which is minus 185 for an implied probability of 65%. And if we have a look at the odds on Ortega, currently around about an average of say 2.55, which is plus 155 for an implied probability of 39%. So in the eyes of the bookies, this fight's roughly 60-40 in favour of Volkanovski, which, like I say, I do find interesting because working from hazy memories, I do think Ortega is a potentially nightmare stylistic matchup for Volk. So perhaps we'll be able to dig up a decent underdog bet here on Ortega, but obviously it's going to really depend on what the footage shows us, right? So let's get into it then. Where should we begin? So let's look at the X factors. So if we take a look at the size, the age, all that kind of stuff. So Volkanovski, 32 years old, 5'6", with a 71.5-inch reach. Ortega, 30 years old, 5'8", with a 69-inch reach. So Volkanovski, with that abnormally long reach for his height, will give him a slight reach advantage over Ortega, but nothing major. A little bit of a height advantage for Ortega, but again, nothing major. And Volkanovski has obviously been competing against guys way bigger than him for his entire career now, pretty much, because he is on the small side for a featherweight. So if we look at where these guys have been training, let's take a look at what Mr. Ortega has been up to. There he is with Tiki. Here he is with Juan Archuleta. Obviously, is he the bantamweight or featherweight champion in Bellator? I'm not quite sure. But Juan Archuleta, definitely a good training partner to be working with. How long ago was that? Back in January. Okay. So I think Ortega's one of these guys that just moves around. Beautiful low rider. Very, very nice. But I think Ortega's just one of these guys that likes to move around and train at different gyms in the California area, right? If we take a look at Volkanovski, obviously Volkanovski splits his camps where he does a little bit of his training camp at home, and then he does, I think, the final 6 weeks of his camp at City Kickboxing. Not sure if he's been able to do that with coronavirus, but usually Volkanovski does train, half and half. Although here he is 3 days ago with Brad Riddell, Jamie Malarkey, who's fighting on the main card next weekend as well. And very, very cool. Very cool. All right. Very cool. So obviously Volkanovski trains at City Kickboxing. The tricky part about this fight for Volkanovski, obviously he is primarily a grappler, but there are levels to grappling, and Ortega likely to cause him huge problems if the fight goes to the ground. Volkanovski's just not really going to be able to get the kind of training in on his continent, to be fair to you, that he would need to kind of deal with Ortega's ground game. So obviously Volkanovski's not going to be easy to take down. Ortega's hasn't got the best offensive wrestling. Volkanovski has that small, compact, muscular, powerful frame, which makes it difficult to get in on his hips, on his legs, and upset his balance. So definitely not going to be easy for Ortega to get this fight to the ground, but we know in the past that Ortega's been able to submit guys just by jumping on opportunistic positions that have presented themselves to him after he's kind of overwhelmed his opponent with pressure or hurt them with something like that. So this is going to be an interesting fight to get into. Like I say, I quite surprised the odds are as wide as this. Maybe the footage will show us exactly why Volkanovski deserves to be this big of a favourite, or perhaps the footage will show us that Ortega is actually worth a better underdog odds. Ortega's definitely tempting to me before we delve into the footage, though. So, with this, let's kick off and watch some fight footage. So, where shall we begin? I feel like Ortega's performance against Korean Zombie was so transformative that perhaps we should start there, because obviously Ortega came into that fight against Korean Zombie on the back of almost a 2-year layoff, and we were talking about ring rest and how that might affect Ortega, and he came out and his striking obviously looked super sharp, was never in any danger, and boxed Korean Zombie's face off. So that is very notable to me, because Zombie has big power in his hands, not easy to kind of walk him down, get in his face and pick him apart. And so if we take a look at that fight, and yeah, we'll start researching this one. So I'm going to drop 2 links into all the chat boxes. I'll start off in my chat room. What's up, Soppy? What's up, JB? What's up, Beep Beep in my Jeep? What's up, Snoochie Boochies? What's up, Hypen? No, Hypen. They will shut my ass down. I did actually think that we could. So a while back, I did a live stream like this where I played one of the fights off YouTube, and my channel got banned from live streaming for like a week. So yeah, hey, what's up, Mara? So yeah, the copyright algorithm on YouTube is crazy aggressive, man. It is crazy aggressive. Okay, so there's that link. We'll drop it in the Twitch. What's up, Cyfix? What's up, Glize? And we'll drop it into the YouTubes as well. And for those of you in the United States that might have ESPN Plus, what's up, Taz? What's up, Hiltz? We'll drop in the link for ESPN Plus as well. And I'm actually just going to go and grab myself a water. I forgot to bring it in with me. So I will be literally 2 seconds. I'm just going to run into my kitchen and grab myself a water while you guys sync those fights up. So sync up the first round for me, guys, and we'll get into it in just a sec. What's up, guys? I'm back. Back like the Renegade Master. Very, very sorry. I am in the process of getting some new stream graphics designed. So pretty soon I'll have like the Be Right Back screens and everything done. Hopefully sometime within the next month. But for now, you have to deal with my fucking amateur shit when I go and grab myself bottles of water. Anyway, let's get into this fight. So the way this works is like a fight companion. Obviously, I can't show you guys the footage because YouTube copyright algorithm, Twitch copyright algorithm is very aggressive, and I don't want Dana to sue me for everything I have. So we will just watch this fight together. So the first round starts at about 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Let's sync this up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So what I would say about this fight, I think it's fair to say that Ortega's probably better than Volkanovski everywhere. My only issue here in terms of a risk factor for Ortega would be Volkanovski's counter-striking in the two fights against Max Holloway looked absolutely fantastic. And I do think Ortega is perhaps a little bit guilty of the trap that Holloway's fallen into in his career, where he's just a natural-born fighter, not the most tactical, not the most strategic, doesn't understand the importance of winning rounds, and therefore, because Volkanovski does understand the importance of winning rounds, you know, you could see a situation where Ortega's kind of just coming forward, putting a lot of pressure on Volk, and Volk is kind of just circling away from him, you know, chipping away at him from the outside, racking up major volume. That would be my concern. You know, it's one of those fights where, you know, Ortega's just a guy that's looking to take you out, right? Not necessarily a guy looking to put rounds in the bank and winning a decision, and that does bother me because of how tough Volkanovski is, how difficult he is to put away. You know, how many times have we seen Ortega involved in fights where, you know, he's down 2 rounds and then he manages to pull a finish out of nowhere in the third. Do you know what I mean? What I am noticing, obviously, in this first round, a little bit of stance switching from Ortega, but he is standing very, very heavy on the lead leg, and we saw how much damage the Volkanovski did to Max Holloway in their first fight, where he hammered that lead leg early on. And so that is a concern, because we're seeing Korean Zombie go to it early. Obviously, Zombie, not much of a leg kicker. Zombie has got much more of a boxing style of fighting. But that lead leg is dangling out there, asking to be hit. But Ortega southpaw here. It's a slow start here from Ortega. It will be interesting to see at what point Ortega picks the volume up and what the scorecards are likely to be at that point. What's up, Hypin? So what we'll be doing as well, guys, I'll be researching Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic straight after this, but we will have to show little clips of some of Ngannou's fights, which won't fly with the YouTube copyright algorithm. So I'll be live streaming my research for Ngannou and Miocic on my Twitch channel. The link is in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on my website, you can watch on there. If you're watching on Twitch, you know where to find me already. But if you are watching this on YouTube and you want to check out the live stream for Ngannou versus Miocic, either come over to my website and watch it, MMABettingTips.com, or head to my Twitch channel. Links to my website and Twitch in the description below. And like I say, we'll be getting into Ngannou versus Miocic straight after this one. What I am seeing from Ortega here is obviously a very, very slow start. A low volume start, which is, you know, not going to be a smart thing to do against Volkanovski. That is a very busy fighter. You know, even though Volkanovski struggled a little bit in the first 3 rounds of the second fight. In every single round we've ever seen Volkanovski competing with Max Holloway, he did match Holloway for volume, which is not an easy thing to do, right? It does bother me how Ortega's kind of just leaving that lead leg dangling out there, waiting to be hammered. What's up, Crocs? What's up, Moons? Yeah, fuck Bozaki, man. Yo, at least when we go back to Texas, we can find a new nemesis. We're not going to have to put up with Bozaki's stupid face. Alright, guys, that is round 1 done. Sync up round 2 for me. So on Fight Pass, round 2 starts at about 8 minutes 37. What's up, Joey McBride? Good to see you, dude. Alright, guys. Yeah, Megalol. Yeah, I'll post this. This will go up on YouTube, dude. Alright, let's get this next round going. Sync it up. Get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So a very slow start from Ortega. He will need to pick it up quite a bit, or you could just see Volkanovski hammering that lead leg, circling away from Ortega and just chipping away at him, right? I know that Ortega does get more aggressive in this fight. Will be interesting to see under what circumstances that comes and how late on it comes, because I don't think this style is going to be effective against Volk. The only time we've really seen Volk struggle standing was in that second fight against Holloway, when Holloway came out the gate aggressive in the second matchup and pressured him. Fighting Volk in kickboxing range like this, I don't see it working. Nice single leg entry there from Ortega. Ortega is looking a little bit flat here, not going to lie. This is why it's so important to do fight research, because from memory, I thought this guy was so much more aggressive in this fight. But he's actually looking a little bit flat and a little bit passive, which is super disappointing. You gotta remember, Zombie doesn't have the best boxing defense, right? He relies on his chin to be able to take a shot to get inside and land one of his own way harder. Zombie a lot more flat-footed than Volk. Volk likes to kind of bounce around, use a lot of footwork to chip away at his opponent. So I'm feeling a lot less confident in Ortega right now. I can tell you that much. What's up, London boy? Yeah, Betfred is a bad one, man. I think Betfred shut me down after I made like £500, mate. They're a joke. I haven't been back to Betfred since. That was probably... I would say Betfred probably shut me down about 6 or 7 years ago, man. Maybe even longer than that. And I haven't been back just because they're not great for live betting. And like I say, they shut me down over £500. It's not worth the effort. There's a lot better options out there, man. So a very, very passive start from Ortega, which is disappointing because 2 rounds down, if he would perform like this in the first 2 rounds against Volk, he might not be able to stand on that lead leg anymore from the damage he'd likely take off leg kicks, and Volk would most likely have racked up major volume here. Hey, what's up, moms, man? What's up to Jason's? We're on Ortega versus Korean Zombie, dude. We're about. This is the second round. We're about to go into the third. When you see Ortega open up, he's still very, very open in these exchanges, right? You see as he kind of swarmed Korean Zombie to take him out right after dropping him. In those exchanges, Ortega still looks very hittable, which is obviously something we saw in the Holloway fight in a big weight. It's tough, right, Matern? Very tough, dude. Very, very tough. I was looking forward to Volkanovski costing me money again, but at the moment, it's going to be very difficult to bet Ortega here. Definitely leaning Volk at the moment. That is for damn sure. Anyway, that's the way it goes. That's why we do fight research, right, boys? What is up, Sop? Yeah, me too, Moons. Me too, dude. Me too. Ortega looking a little bit flat, right, dude? Alright, sync up round 3 for me, guys. It starts at 14 minutes and 48 seconds. That's 14 minutes and 48 seconds. Sync it up, guys. Sync it up. Hey, what's up, Timothy Davenport? You're the fucking man, dude. You're the fucking man, Tim. Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, nice one, Pro HH. I don't know how you could tell this is a wig, but it is. Great observation, dude. It is a wig, and yeah, it's a wig. Absolutely, yes. All right, let's get this next one going. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. How were your memories of the fight different, Moons? How are your memories different, man? I thought that Ortega was way more aggressive, when in actual fact he's been very, very passive in these first 2 rounds. So I'm looking forward to see how he cranks it up here in the 3rd, 4th and 5th. The problem is you can't afford to start this slow against Volkanovski, because Volk would have outstruck him with this kind of performance for sure, which would then mean Ortega would have to win the 3rd, 4th and 5th rounds decisively in order to win the belt, or obviously get a finish, which isn't an easy thing to do because Volkanovski's tough as old boots. Yeah, me too, Moons. Me too, dude. Yo, Sop. Barbers are still closed in the UK, man. We're on a strict lockdown, mate. We're on a strict lockdown, dude. We can't do dick. So if you're seeing a lot of British people with crazy haircuts right now, that's why. In fact, I think they might be open like as of this week or something, as of like last Monday. But I'm not going to be going and getting my haircut until the waiting list calms down a little bit, because I'd imagine my barber's going to be busy as hell in the first few weeks of him opening back up. So even as we approach the midway point of this 3rd round, very, very low volume passive style from Ortega. Quite disappointing, really. Not what I expected. think Ortega's just one of, like, obviously Ortega has trained in the Renner Gracie for a long time, right? And we know that the Gracie style of fighting has always been stay patient, don't force anything, and wait for the opportunities to come to you. Focus on defending yourself first, not taking damage, fighting safe, and letting the opportunities come to you. The Gracie style of fighting, or the Gracie kind of ethos, is patience, and you can very much see that in Brian Ortega. But the problem with Gracie's is throughout their time in MMA, they lost a lot of decisions, right? That's why in the very, very early days of the UFC, the Gracies fought to have no time limits in their fights. Because they knew so long as there were no time limits, their probability of winning went up exponentially, because they only needed their opponent to make one mistake eventually, and they knew they'd be able to choke him to death. And you see that in Ortega's style, right? He's waiting for that opportunity to come, but in the process, he's getting outworked. And we have seen that throughout Ortega's career. Before he fought Holloway, plenty of times. In the fight against Clay Guida, in the fight against, what was the other guy's name, who he was down 2 rounds to and then pulled out a win in the third. He did it against Guida, Brandao, and Thiago Tavares. That was the guy I was thinking of. What happened to Tavares, man? I didn't think... what's he up to these days? Yeah, he's not that old. Still fighting, man. Still fighting. Thiago Tavares was decent. He was like a politician in Brazil or something, right? But anyway, did it to Moicano. But the problem is, if that opportunity to get a finish doesn't come, you almost always lose a decision. The Gracie way is patience, and you can definitely see that in Ortega's style. Now, obviously we know one of Ortega's best weapons is guillotine choke. Because of Volk's lower centre of gravity, it will make it easier for Ortega to tie that head up and, hit that kind of guillotine choke, but not the kind of thing I would bet on, right? So what's interesting is 3 rounds down and still a very low volume style of fighting from Brian, and he also doesn't look great defensively. In the boxing exchanges, he's a little bit shaky. And in the boxing exchanges, he's a little bit shaky. And also standing really heavy on that lead leg, wide open to the leg kick, which I'm sure Volk will be able to make him pay for. So sync up round 4 for me now, which starts at 20 minutes and 57 seconds. That's 20 minutes 57 seconds. Sync it up. Sync it up, guys. 20 minutes and 57 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Do you know what? I don't think we're going to have to spend as long on this one as I thought we would, boys. Thought we'd have to go deep on this fight, but don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to be one of those fights where Ortega is dangerous enough to not want to bet Volk as a big favourite, but too passive, low volume to bet on, to the point where I wouldn't even necessarily say this was dog or pass at the moment. I do think this is a tricky fight for Ortega, and now I'm starting to see why Volk is the favourite. Doesn't mean Ortega can't catch Volk in some funky submission, but obviously it's unlikely. with the fact that Ortega doesn't have any offensive wrestling. Yeah, Moons, you're right, man. Like, Ortega looks real slow, right? Real slow. What a disappointing performance, man. Very disappointing. I am looking forward to seeing Volkanovski Holloway 2 now, because for the most part, you know, Volk held his own against Holloway, right? Which probably means Ortega's in a little bit of trouble. Ortega, what you see here from Ortega, though, is obviously it's in the 4th round now. Perhaps he's starting to sense that he's running out of time. So he's getting a little bit more aggressive, right? That takedown attempt there was the first takedown that we really saw Ortega commit hard to. But he's waited like 16 or 17 minutes to actually go for it. Anyway, boys, what do you think about this one so far? Obviously quite difficult to say because we haven't seen any of Volkanovski yet, but from memory, this does look like it could be a little bit tricky for Mr. Ortega. There's just like a real flatness about his striking, and I think the speed and footwork of Volk is going to cause him big trouble, to the point where I've gone from thinking about betting Ortega to thinking about betting Volk now. Volkanovski wouldn't be a big bet for me, because I do think the odds are pretty steep. But perhaps a lab bet. The only thing I worry about with Volk is that we haven't seen a lot of Volk's ground game against any real decent level of grappler. And training at City Kickboxing, I can't imagine the Volk is going to be getting in, you know, very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. We've seen how weak Adesanya looked on the ground recently against the 40-year-old Polish kickboxer in Blachowicz. We saw Kara-France dominated by Rogerio Bontorin. We saw him look completely out of his depth on the ground with Brandon Royval. When we were researching Riddell versus Gillespie last week, we saw, you know, how vulnerable Riddell looked on the ground against Alex De Silva until De Silva started to get tired. So even though Volkanovski is a stronger wrestler than the names I've just mentioned, it doesn't mean he'll be any higher level on the ground in terms of, you know, being able to defend himself, right, against someone like Ortega. So if these boys were to slip on a banana skin and the fight were to go to the ground, you don't know if you know, Volk's just going to be a total white belt. You know, it's possible. In actual fact, training at City Kickboxing is quite likely as well. This is true, Moons. He does have a swimmer's body. He has a... No, you know... No, Moons, you're wrong, man. He doesn't have a swimmer's body. He has a swimmer's head. Look at that. Look at that head. That's definitely a swimmer's head, right? Shout out to Jonathan, wherever you are, dude. Yeah, for that reason, Sop, I can't really go too big on Volk here, because obviously Ortega is an opportunistic grappler, super high level on the ground. But from what I'm seeing, I'd rather bet Volk than Ortega, because at least Volk is going to fight for your money. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Ortega's just hoping that an opportunity presents itself to submit Volk, even if he doesn't necessarily have the offensive wrestling he's going to need to put the fight in those positions. So anyway, I don't actually see us spending long on this fight, guys, which is a surprise because I thought we'd have to go deep. But I reckon by the time we're done watching Volkanovski Holloway 2, we'll probably have made our minds up on this one. I can't imagine what we're going to learn from watching any more of Ortega's fights that this one hasn't shown us. And I think we see the full spectrum of Volkanovski's skills in this fight with Holloway too, right? We've seen how he looked under pressure, saw how he reacted to getting hurt. So probably won't have to take too long on this one. But anyway, sync up round 5 for me. Let's get it done. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, let's go. What's up, MMA Too Much? Hope you're doing good, mate. Pro HH saying, what's the most promising altcoin at the moment? I don't know, man. I don't really mess with altcoins, dude. I prefer like high growth stock. Oh, I prefer like growth stocks to altcoins. Basically the same thing, right? Except growth stocks actually, the companies actually serve a purpose, whereas a lot of altcoins don't really do anything. No, that doesn't bother me, Tim. I try not to worry about that sort of stuff, man. I try not to worry about what fighters say in interviews and stuff. Like, I just prefer to focus on, the skills I see in the octagon, It's like just focusing on the skills you see in the octagon is a good way to drown out all the noise and just focus on what is true, Because fighters will say all kinds of shit in interviews, man. Stuff they have to say to themselves to kind of hype themselves up, or stuff they feel like they need to say to please their fans, their coaches, their partners, their friends, their fans. I try not to make betting decisions on any of that stuff. So yeah, quite a flat performance from Ortega, actually. I'm quite surprised. I feel like throughout this fight, he's done a great job of catching Zombie and hurting him bad in a few spots. But aside from that, very underwhelming. And Ortega's boxing defense, not great either. When they've exchanged, he's looked quite vulnerable here, Choose MF. Ortega's grappling's definitely not overrated. He's a nightmare on the ground, but he just struggles bad to get fights to the ground. Maybe he'll evolve like Damian Maia. Damian Maia was like that early in his career, but then developed a little bit of offensive wrestling. Because Ortega's gas tank is so good, if he can just develop wrestling, he will be a nightmare. And because he's only young, why is he like 30 years old? 30 years old. I mean, he needs to do it quickly though, right? He is running out of time, 30. We know in the lower weight classes, you can't be 36, 37 years old competing at a high level in the lower weight classes. But still a little bit of time for him, right? Yeah, Volkanovski's cardio did look a little bit suspect early in his UFC career, right? But I think he's tightened that up MMA too much. Like, he fought at a super high pace against Holloway twice and looked just fine, And the thing is, because Ortega doesn't really push much of a pace, Volk will be able to pace himself against Ortega far better than he could against Holloway in that second fight, where Holloway came out the gate hard in the first 2 rounds. IC is saying, how will Volk deal with the threat of the ground? Very, very badly if it goes to the ground, mate. If it goes to the ground, I think Volk is screwed. But because he's got that small, compact body type, and because Ortega's got no offensive wrestling, it won't be easy for Ortega to get this fight to the ground. Alright. Let's now go take a look at Volkanovski and Holloway. And I'm pretty sure by the time we're done watching this matchup, we should have a pretty good read on this one. Although I feel like I've got a pretty good read already. I'm not that impressed with Mr. Ortega. So sync this one up for me, guys. I'll grab you an ESPN Plus link right now. For those of you in the United States. And sync up this first round for me. Don't forget, we're going to do Stipe versus Ngannou straight after this one. Get that other main event done. Again, I don't think it'll take us long to get through that fight either. Francis has got so many first round finishes on his record. Hasn't gone past 2 minutes in a fight since 2018. So, not going to take us too long to get through that one. I actually think the last Stipe fight will show us everything we need to know about, you know, Ngannou's chances of winning. But anyway, sync this up for me. And like I say, if you do want to if you are watching this on YouTube, I won't be streaming research for Ngannou Miocic on YouTube because of the YouTube copyright algorithm. So head on over to my website to watch it here in the Fight Research live streams page or on Twitch. Link in the description for both, whatever you want to choose. Alright, let's get this next one going. Round 1. Which starts at 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Let's sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So what I'm noticing very early on here is Volkanovski like maintaining a safe distance. You can see that the size difference is absolutely huge between him and Holloway. And he's just slipping out of Holloway's range. Every time Holloway comes forward, you just see Holloway Volkanovski, slipping back and just circling away from Holloway. Maintaining that safe distance. And now what we want to see is when Holloway closes the distance to land the strike, we want to see how Volk reacts. I'm also interested in Volkanovski's boxing defense here, because I feel like that was one thing that got Korean Zombie into a lot of trouble. It's very, very hittable. You see Volk staying behind this high boxing guard. Volk did a really good job of reading that head kick there. Holloway threw that head kick up with no telegraph. Volk still read it though last minute and got that left hand up high and gave Holloway a little nod as if to say that was close, bro. Nice one. So I'm very impressed already with Volkanovski's movement here. And it's very difficult for very difficult for Volkanovski, because obviously Holloway's footwork and movement is very good. Holloway's massive as well. Holloway's bigger than Ortega. It's not easy for a little guy like Volk to cover distance and get in on Holloway, which is one of the big reasons why I bet on Holloway to beat Volk twice. You know, it's difficult. You can see there as Volkanovski blitzes forward, Holloway only has to take a couple steps back and then slip his head back to put his chin out of a range where Volkanovski can land without really following through. He won't have that trouble against Ortega because, you know, Ortega is a lot easier to hit, doesn't read his opponents as well, doesn't have the footwork of Holloway. You know what? MMA too much. I bet on Holloway twice in bet on him in both these fights. I scored both of them for Volkanovski, dude. When I've scored these fights back in the cold light of day, when we researched this to bet the Keita versus Holloway fight, I scored it 3-2 for Volk. I think Volk won. I think Max won the first 2 rounds of this fight. Volk won the final 3. And in the first fight, I think Volk won the first 3 rounds and Max won the final 2. So, I don't think they were bad decisions, dude. I think Holloway kind of threw it away by taking his foot off the gas and allowing Volkanovski to steal rounds. But I'm very impressed with Volkanovski's footwork and movement. With this footwork and movement, he's going to have a lot more success against Ortega, who won't read him as well as Max is reading him. You know, when Volk's blitzing forward and attacking Holloway, Holloway's doing a very good job of reading him and getting him out the way. I don't see Ortega being able to do the same thing. Those little moments there are where there is danger for Volk in this fight. If Ortega does drop him, catch him with something crazy, and he goes down, you know, we know Ortega's very good at jumping all over guys and putting them in a really bad position before they have an opportunity to actually see or realise what's happening, right? Jumping on chokes, you know, all kinds of shit. Hey, what's up, Stuart, mate? Good to see you, dude. What's up, Tom French? Good to see you, man. You know, those are the dangers here for Volk. If he gets dropped, Ortega jumps on something crazy, puts him in a bad position before he has a chance to fight through it. Alright, sync up round 2. Starting 9 minutes and 19 seconds. That's 9 minutes and 19 seconds. Let's get it going. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I have changed my tune on this one. I thought it would be dog or pass. I went into this week's main event with the same sort of feeling, right? I thought it would be dog or pass. I thought it would be Brunson or pass. Ended up liking Kevin Holland reluctantly a decent amount. I wouldn't say I'm reluctantly liking Volk here, though. I do think this is actually a good matchup for him, which I didn't expect to be saying. But, you know, the footwork and movement of Volk, I think, is going to give Ortega a lot of trouble. It's to the point where I think if this fight stays standing, I think Volk causes Ortega big trouble. Possibly even bigger trouble than Max did. Because I don't feel like Volk will play with his food as much as Max did against Ortega. You look at the speed of Volkanovski there, right, as Holloway comes forward. We saw Ortega's boxing defense not great against Korean Zombie. I think Volk's speed could really cause Ortega issues. Tim is saying, think Volk wins 75% of the time. Yeah, I agree, Moons. Volk is looking very good defensively here. Holloway's trying to get to him and he can't because the footwork and movement of Volkanovski is so good. Volkanovski's very good at measuring distance, controlling the distance. You can see there, right? Holloway doesn't throw many head kicks, but as he blitzed forward there and threw the head kick, Volk was sharp enough to just read him and get that right hand up. Very impressive. I like what I see from Volk a lot. Because it's very, very difficult for a guy as small as Volk to get inside on a guy like Holloway. Ortega will be a much easier target than this. And aside from those that flash knockdown at the end of the first, I know Volk gets hurt again in a minute at the end of this second. Aside from that, the flash knockdowns, Volk's doing just fine here. He's doing just fine, I think Volk may be upgraded to a lab bet here, boys. What are we saying? What are we saying? Volk gonna get upgraded. Ortega needs to catch him in a crazy sub, or I think he's gonna just get outstruck by a huge margin. Just the odds are quite steep on Volk, You know what, Tim? I definitely agree with you that mate. The Cater's boxing is 10 times better than Ortega, but I don't think the version of Holloway for the Cater is what Volk got. But I would agree. Cater's a much better striker. A much better striker than Ortega. Light years ahead. Anyway, let's get this third round going. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So this has been an eye-opener. Someone was saying, though, that, forgive me, it was someone on YouTube. Who was it? It was Icy. So, Icy was saying that Ortega was taken down very easily by Chad Mendes, who's obviously a very good offensive wrestler, but it may be worth us checking that one out, just in case there are any massive red flags for Volkanovski's grappling that we don't want to overlook. Wow, Chad Mendes hit 3 takedowns. Alright, that is a bit of a concern to me. So, we probably need to watch this fight, because the odds are steep on Volk, right? And if his takedown offense isn't great, which it might not be training at City Kickboxing, let's be realistic here. If Volk's takedown offense isn't great, it will be risky to bet him as a big favourite. Because obviously we did see Ortega you know, commit very hard to one takedown against Zombie. He got him down a couple times, right? And with how high level Ortega is on the ground, he might only need one takedown to finish Volk. So, I am definitely contemplating a lab bet on Volk. But I'll watch this Chad Mendes fight just to be sure, because it does say there Chad hit 3 of 4 takedowns. And on top of that, we've got to remember that, you know, fighters are on a journey of continual self-improvement, right? I'm sure Ortega is working on his wrestling. So on any given night, he could show up with significantly better wrestling. And so because of that, you know, we want to make sure that we're not betting on Volkanovski if he's an absolute white belt on the ground with lackluster takedown defense. Because if his takedown defense and ground game looks really bad against Mendes, there's not going to be any value in Volk at odds of 1.57? About 1.55, right? This is a steep price to pay, right? 1.55 is a very steep price to pay. I think it's fair to say most people watching this are now in agreement that Volkanovski should be the favourite. Volkanovski is more likely to win. There's no doubt about it. The question becomes, is Volkanovski worth a bet as a pretty big favourite? That's the only question that needs to be answered now for me. Yeah, we did talk about that, right, Paul? Because of Volk's lower centre of gravity, he is vulnerable to Ortega's biggest weapon, which is jumping right on that neck. We saw him do it to other shorter guys in the featherweight division, like Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar. Yeah, that's for sure a possibility, Paul. And return, well said, mate. This is why I'm like very close to a lab bet on Volk, but his price is a big price to pay. 1.55, that's a big price to pay, you know. And just, you wouldn't expect Volk to be at a very good level of grappling just because of where he trains, realistically. I think Volk is one of these guys, people think he's a strong wrestler. He's not. Volk is a tough guy, physically imposing guy with a background in rugby, so he's got good timing on those double legs. But in terms of actual technique, from what I've seen, very average. I don't mean that to like insult Volk or put him down or anything like that. He's a great fighter, but it's not easy to deal with the level of ground game Ortega's bringing to the table. If you train in New Zealand, there just aren't guys on that continent that you could train with which are going to give you the kind of training you need to hang with guys like that, you know what I mean? So we will, you know what, I don't think we need to see any more of Ortega. I think with there being such a big gap between that Holloway and Korean Zombie fight, I think that Korean Zombie fight showed us pretty much everything we need to see. I think this fight has shown us everything we need to see from Volkanovski in terms of striking, but I will watch that Chad Mendes fight to get a little look at his grappling. So shout out to you, IC, for giving us the heads up on that one, mate. So sync up round 4 for me, which starts at 21 minutes and 37 seconds. 21 minutes and 37 seconds. Sync it up, guys. Sync it up. And let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's get it going, guys. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. So Volk striking looking really, really good here. Great defensively. And even though Volk hasn't done tons offensively, I think a lot of that is down to how good Max is. And I think against Ortega, Volk will have 10 times more success standing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Volk's takedown offense and ground game looks against Mr. Mendez. Yeah, he's looking pretty sharp, right, Moons? I was about to say, to be honest, Moons, that Volk is starting to look a little bit flatter in these later rounds. But like I was saying to someone else, I can't remember who it was, maybe Choose MF. I'm not too worried about Volk slowing down at all here, because Ortega's not going to be able to force him to work as hard as Holloway is. Like, for the most part, Holloway's walked him down for the whole fight, right? And Volk's had to circle on the outside and react to what Holloway's doing. Whereas Ortega, I don't think, has the footwork, head movement, or striking defense to be able to walk Volk down without taking major damage. Whereas Holloway's doing a pretty good job of using his length to force Volk to fight in an uncomfortable range. What I do like about Volk here as well, he got hurt bad in the first and second round and like immediately recovered. He is a tough bastard, right? In the nicest way possible. In the most complimentary of ways, he's a tough bastard. The way he recovered almost immediately, I love that. Because it means he's not going to pull a Gilbert Burns on you, right? If he does get caught something crazy by Ortega, you will know with every fucking ounce of DNA in his body, he's going to try and fight through it and keep going, fight for your money. And I do like that a lot. So Volk, and this is the reason why fight research is so important, though. If I hadn't researched this tonight, and we wouldn't have got to this fight until Monday or Tuesday next week, I would have had tons of debates with people in the VIP chat room telling them why this was dog or pass, etc, etc. And the reality is, when you watch the footage in the cold light of day, you realise your mind will play tricks on you. And when you work from hazy memories, it gets you in a lot of trouble, because my hazy memory told me Ortega's a lot better than he is, and my memory told me Volk's nowhere near as good as he is. And so if you're making betting decisions based on hazy memories, it's going to be very hard to make a profit long term, because your judgment is flawed. You know what I'm saying? And even if you knew Volk was good and Ortega had weaknesses that he could exploit, and you were leaning towards Volk in this fight, even if your hazy memories, your brain served you well in this fight, there will be other fights where your brain lets you down and those hazy memories get you into trouble. You know what I'm saying? That's why fight research is so important. Because this is another fight where I've completely flipped my opinion. And I did it on last week's main event, or not last week's main event, tomorrow night's main event, right? I remember early on in that live stream saying, you know, this is going to be dog or pass. There's no way I bet on Kevin Holland. Yada, 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 because of all these reasons. And then you watch the footage and you realise it ain't like that. It's not how you thought. Little look up at the clock there from Volk. Not sure if that's because he's starting to get tired, or if it's because he's conscious the round is coming to an end, so he wants to finish the round strong. Been a rough year for City kickboxing, right? Hooker losing to Chandler, Ulberg losing to Kennedy and Chukwu, Adesanya losing to Blakovic, Cara France beat Bontarin, and Riddell's got a really tough matchup tomorrow night against Gregor Gillespie. Volk needs to win to hold it down for his boys at City Kickboxing, right? Even the numbers up a little bit. Anyway, get into this fifth round. Sync it up. It starts at 27 minutes and 40 seconds. 27 minutes and 40 seconds. And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, I will be researching Stipe Miocic against Francis Ngannou straight after this only on Twitch or my website though. So if you want to watch it on Twitch, go to Twitch. If you want to watch it on my website, go to this page that I've just left a link in the chat box for, or you could just look at the links in the description below. Alright, let's get this next one going. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So after this, we'll watch Volk versus Mendes, then we'll wrap it up and we'll move on to Ngannou Stipe. And I'm going to try and sneak in Omar Morales versus Shane Young, because I think Morales could be a good bet there. So I'm going to try and do that one tonight as well. We can do those 3 fights. We'll be in great shape for next week. We've already done the Gillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick fight from when that fight was scheduled a few weeks ago. We've already got that one ticked off the list. So if we can get another 2 done tonight, I don't think it's going to take us long to do Ngannou versus Miocic, because like I say, so many of Ngannou's fights finish in 1 round, and you know, with the layoffs that Miocic has had, I think we're probably going to see everything we need to see from Miocic in the fight against Daniel Cormier. So we'll probably be able to wrap up Ngannou and Stipe in maybe just over an hour. We'll watch the first Stipe Ngannou fight, then we'll watch DC Miocic, and then all of Ngannou's quick finishes. And by then, maybe in an hour and 30 minutes, I think we'll be done on that one. And we'll be making really good progress then with our work on next week's fights. Gotta be honest, it is a obviously the main event fights. A couple of the fights on the main card are great, but other than that, it is a little bit of a weak card. I noticed Hannah Goldie and Jessica Penne headlining the prelims for all the eye candy weight champion of the world. Hannah Goldie's Instagram profile, fantastic. Jessica Penne's OnlyFans, I'm sure, is also fantastic. I need to subscribe and support the fighters we love. You know what? I am a big fan of Jessica Penne, and not just for her appearance. Back when she, first came into the UFC, I just liked her style. She's very, very tricky on the ground. Her fights, I think it was her atomweight title fight against Michelle Waterson in Invicta, an amazing fight. I'm a little bit of a technique junkie, and Jessica Penne is so tricky and technical on the ground that I just love to watch Penne on the ground. Unfortunately, Penne is a little bit like Brian Ortega in that she does struggle to take her opponents down, so her fights quite often end up with her getting her face boxed off. Although from memory, I think Hannah Goldie's a wrestler, right? Which should make that an interesting one. Yeah, I think Goldie is primarily a wrestler. Don't quote me. She beat Gillian Robertson. Very interesting. Obviously, it was a long time ago, but that's an interesting one because Penny's pretty nasty on the ground, or at least she was pretty nasty on the ground. Yeah, she's a sleep material. I wouldn't be saying this shit if she was awake. Trust me, dude. There's no way I would be saying this shit if she was awake. Alright, so we're going to be done on this one, and then we will go. I'll give you the link for Volkanovski and Mendes, and then we'll get into it, boys. We will get into this one, and hopefully we'll have a lot of clarity. We will have a lot of clarity on this fight once we're done watching this Mendes matchup. Really, the only question I'm waiting to answer, or the only question I need answered really, is how does Volk's ground game look? And I'm hoping that Mendes fight is going to give us a little look at it. Well, I would say, obviously, Mendes is a very, very strong offensive wrestler. I think Mendes was NCAA... Chad Mendes NCAA Division 1 level wrestler? Or am I making that up? I'm pretty sure he was NCAA Division 1 level wrestler. Yeah, NCAA Division 1 level wrestler. God, I've got a good fucking memory. So yeah, Mendes was an NCAA Division 1 level wrestler, so obviously he's going to be a much better offensive wrestler than Ortega. But what I would really be looking for is how does Volk look when he hits the ground? You know, is he able to defend himself? Because even though Mendes will be a better offensive wrestler than Ortega, he's obviously not going to be as skilled or as dangerous as Ortega on the ground, although Mendes does have pretty nasty ground and pound from what I remember. Oh, Brad Riddell screaming advice for his homeboy Volkanovski. Very, very nice. I love how Volk worked really hard to finish that fight strong as well. And to Moons' point early on, where Moons was saying Volk was still had his speed late on, and I said, you know, he does look a little bit flatter. To be fair, Moons was 100% right, because late on, Volk still had that energy to drive through, drag Holloway to the ground and steal that 5th round. So, impressive shit, man, impressive shit. Now let's get into this fight between Chad Mendes and Volk, and then we'll wrap this one up and jump into Stipe Ngannou. And we'll see how we feel about that one. I don't think, I can tell you right now, it's pretty unlikely I'm going to be betting that fight. I don't think that is going to be a particularly good fight for betting. And then as soon as we wrap that up, hopefully we'll have time to do Omar Morales, Shane Young. So I think that'll be a much better fight for betting. So sync this fight up. It starts at 2 minutes and 22 seconds. That's 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Kindly sync this up. Kindly sync it up. And let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. So from memory, Mendes gave Volkanovski absolute hell early in this fight. And then Mendes gassed out for really the first time in his career, if you take that Conor McGregor fight out of the equation, because he fought on like 5 days' notice against Conor and had a broken foot, right? So can't really hold gassing out against Conor against him. But I think this is one of those things where Mendes, for the first time in his career, maybe showed signs that he was focused on other things, right? His hunting equipment business, his TV show, and just kind of wanted to dip out. And that really had an impact on his performance here. Because Mendes, one of these guys that used to be able to push a very, very high pace for 3 rounds, no bueno. Heavy leg kicks from Mr. Mendes. Hey, what's up, Gucci, mate? We're just finishing off Volkanovski and Ortega, and we're going to be starting Ngannou Stipe as soon as this fight is done, dude. Hey, Guchingus sounds like a fucking STD, man. Guchingus sounds like something you definitely don't want to have to go to the doctors and explain how you got it. Sounds pretty nasty, man. So Volkanovski, the aggressor here, coming forward, pressuring Mendes, forcing Mendes to fight on the back foot. Volk a lot more aggressive here against someone of a similar size to him. Couldn't do this against Holloway, right? Because Holloway's side made it difficult for him to put Holloway on the back foot. Beautiful deep double leg there from Mendes. Good initial takedown defense there from Volk. Did a really good job of showing Mendes strong hips, clearing his legs. Nothing wrong with that takedown defense, man. Volk looking sharp. He read it. read it very nicely, and that's a much more explosive double leg entry than you'll get from someone like Ortega. Anyway, man, we got about 50 people watching this. As we come to the end of this stream, let me know, guys, how you feel about this fight. Let me know, guys. Everyone drop in the chat who you think's going to win this fight. I'm going to go with Volk. Disappointing how we haven't seen a little bit more grappling in this fight. But I definitely lean Volkanovski here. The only question I've got left to answer is he worth a bet at these odds? It's quite a steep price to pay. And we do know Ortega's dangerous. Like Paul said, that lower centre of gravity from Volk will make it easier for Ortega to snatch his head on those guillotines. But if it stays standing, I just see Volkanovski overwhelming Ortega. So Volk gave up a little bit of a weak takedown, to be honest there. He got caught cold and flat-footed. Volk giving his corner a nod, saying, I'm good to jump back up to my feet here. But the thing is, big difference between being taken down by Mendes and having a guy like Mendes on top of you and a guy like Ortega, right, who is lightning fast at those back takes, can roll for legs, do all kinds of terrible things to you. But I do like how Volkanovski didn't accept being on the bottom there. As soon as he hit the ground like a cat, he was looking to scramble back up to his feet. Volk looking very good here. Spiz thinks Volk. Moons thinks Volk gets it done. Matern strongly leans Volk. Is anyone betting Volk? Let me know, guys, if anyone's betting Volk. Or if you're betting Ortega, either way. Let me know either way. Anyway, sync up round 2. It starts at 8 minutes 41. 8 minutes 41. So as we wrap this stream up, guys, don't forget, if you want to research Stipe and Ngannou with me, I'm going to be starting this straight after this stream on my website. Or you could check out Twitch, twitch.tv/Diary of a Pro Gambler. And this will be the final round, and then we'll wrap this stream up. So thank you for being here, and hopefully see you in the next stream with Ngannou and Miocic on Twitch on my website. I will not be doing it on YouTube because the copyright algorithm is too strict. But let's get into this next one. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Go, go, go. Moons is saying maybe a lab bet, but the odds seem about right to me. Shark sadly leans Volk. Why are you sadly leaning Volk, dude? JB's going to pass. Sharks is saying pass for sure. Volk is very, very tempting, but his odds aren't. That's the problem I've got here. His odds aren't. He's a big-ass favourite at 1.55. Azud is saying Volk by decision. Kasalek thinks Volk by decision. Raffaello is saying Volk is going to win. I love your conviction, dude. And is saying we'll bet him probably. Tom French saying big accumulator on Gillespie to win it in Holland by TKO tomorrow night. Good luck, dude. The one thing that bothers me is with Volkanovski probably being pretty low level on the ground, Ortega kind of just has that one advantage, right, which could cause Volk absolute hell. If the fight does go to the ground like a crazy scramble. You know, we have seen Volk get dropped here by Mendes. We have seen Volk dropped by Holloway a couple times. I know that Mendes doesn't hit, or Mendes hits a lot harder than Ortega, but Ortega, man, you know, if Ortega can drop guys like Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson, and Korean Zombie, you bet your ass he can drop Alexander Volkanovski as well, right? So he's tricky, man. I probably agree with JB and Sharks. This is probably a pass. Sorry to be boring, but that is the way it goes. Volk. Do you know what? I wouldn't actually say Volk looks any better than I thought he would. I think Ortega just looks a lot worse. From memory, I thought Ortega looked tons better in that Korean Zombie fight than he actually did. Yeah, Volk's takedown offense is looking a little bit sketchy here. That's the second super weak takedown in this fight we've seen him run into. Do you know what I'm saying? Volk has given up 2 super weak takedowns. I know Ortega's offensive wrestling's not great, but when you consider the price you're paying on Volkanovski with his odds, it is a steep price to pay. And we know he's likely to be screwed on the ground. So I would probably agree. This one's probably a pass for me. Gucci saying Ortega looked amazing in his last fight. I'm not so sure, Gucci dude. We just watched it back in the cold light of day, and I mean, I wasn't that impressed by Ortega, dude. Again, Volk gives up a weak takedown. Yeah, Volk is looking sketchy on the ground, man. Volk is looking very sketchy on the ground. I think if Ortega gets this fight to the ground, I think Volk is in a lot of trouble. Big shout out to Icy, who said we should check out this Mendez fight to see how easily Mendez got Volk down. Because I was very much on the fence coming into this matchup, you know, thinking about placing a lab bet on Volk. But now I've seen how easily Mendez can take this guy down, how easily Mendez just took the back. I think this is an easy pass. Alright, so yeah, big shout out to you, IC bro. And that is it, guys. We're done for this session. Thank you very much for watching. If you are on my website, stay on my website and I'll set up the next stream for Stipe and Ganu. I'll be like 5-10 minutes and I'll be back. If you're watching on Twitch, don't go anywhere, because I'll be back real soon as well. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to watch the Stipe and Ganu live stream, which will be coming up in 5-10 minutes, head on over to my website, MABettingTips.com. Go to the community tab, hit Fight Research live streams, and you'll find the stream here. Or you can just go to Twitch. The links for both those things are in the description below. But for now, thank you everyone for watching. Love you all. I hope you found that live stream useful. I certainly did, because I was planning on betting Ortega, and I definitely would not bet him now. I completely leaned towards Volk after that session. Anyway, thank you everyone. Love you all. Take care, and I'll see you in 5 to 10 minutes. I'll be right back.